Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to my channel. If you happen to be new here, my name is Jess. This is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video. If you guys have been subscribed to my channel for a long time, you will know I don't often do book reviews because I feel like I am not able to eloquently or even in a very good way describe why I disliked or liked a book. It is why sometimes I really struggle to do book reviews, but occasionally I get a book that I love so much that I just cannot not talk about it. I need to talk about it. I need to tell you guys why I loved it or why I hated it particularly. And today I wanted to talk about a book called The Wolf and the Whale. If you guys have been following along with my reading vlogs, you guys will know that I recently finished this, and just as a spoiler, I absolutely loved it. So today I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about why I think you need to add this to your TBR. This book does release January 29th of 2019, but what this book actually follows is our main character, Amat. She's an Inuit, and she lives in 1000 AD when gods, like the Inuit gods, still exist, the Viking gods still exist, but Christ has enough of a follower that he is also becoming very prevalent. And this book does follow her journey. Now, the basis of the story is Amat is born and her mother dies giving birth to her. Her father died pretty shortly before she was actually born as well, but they believe that when people die, they are actually reborn into children born within their group and within their family. And I really liked this because a lot of the book is about Amat's struggle with being a boy because her family do raise her as a boy. They allow her to hunt, they allow her to play with the other boys. They don't try to force on her the traditional, like learning how to use an ulu, learning how to sew, learning things like that. She gets to become a storyteller. She gets to become the shaman of their group. Now, the older she gets, they allow her to continue with this as long as she doesn't have her period, essentially, as long as she doesn't become a true woman, because they believe there are a lot of laws that being a woman in hunting or being a woman and being a shaman of the group actually sort of break those laws that they believe within their gods. And when that does start to happen, they start to blame her for the seals not coming to them to be hunted. They blame her for being starving. They blame her for the weather. They blame her for the fact that no one's able to have children within their group, within their family. And it was so nice to read about in a way because Amat struggles a lot with what is a man and what is a woman and who is stronger, and kind of learns throughout her entire journey of this book sort of how to be both, how to be powerful and be a woman, how to be a hunter and to be a shaman in her culture and have the blessings of the gods and be able to commune with the gods and turn into a raven and turn into a bear and have these kind of soul journeys that she has. But while also being a woman and understanding her power with being a woman, being able to have children, being able to influence people with being a woman. And that's what I truly loved about this book. At one point in time, there is another group, another family that come to her family, and they are hunting the whale, which is a law that they are not supposed to break. They believe that if you do hunt the whale god will essentially curse you. And the leader of that group decides that he wants to make her his wife. Now, Amat at this point is not, she had just had her period, she had just become a woman, and she is really battling with that, and he decides that he's going to take her by force. In more ways than one, if you guys are sensitive about rape or that's something that really turns you off, there's a bit in this book, but I feel like it's done really tactfully, which is hard. There's not a whole lot of description about what happens, you know what I mean? It's not very in your face kind of rape, but you do know that is what happens. So if that's something that's really sensitive for you, it's something that I'm very sensitive about as a victim of sexual assault, but it was still done in a way that it wasn't really jarring to me and it didn't really upset me. But everyone is different, so just know that if you are sensitive about rape, there is a bit of this in this story. But what I really liked about this book, aside from just Amat's struggle, is once they actually take her, a lot of things happen. Without giving too much away, she does meet another man, and he is a Viking. And it's so cool because this book, kind of the antithesis of it, is her gods and his gods meeting. And they believe that, the gods themselves believe that they only exist as long as their followers believe in them, which is kind of a really old knowledge. People really know that that's kind of how the gods used to be, is they only had as much power as when people believed in them. But I really like the kind of contrast between the two of them. The Viking gods are very much so about fighting wars and fighting each other and like glory and Valhalla and like the last war. Like what they believe Valhalla is just a battle that you wake up every single day and you fight and you die and you're reborn over and over again. And her gods are more like about hunting and fishing and about your relationship with the earth and your relationship with the animals. And I truly loved the contrast of that. Now, I gave this book 5 stars. This is in the running to be one of my favorite books of 2018. Even though it technically doesn't release till 2019, it is rapidly becoming just one of the most amazing books I've ever read. The magic in this is wonderful. If you guys are a fan of Loki, Loki does play a pretty big part in this book, as well as her gods. If you guys are looking for more Native Alaskan or just Inuit representation, if you are Inuit yourself or you just want to know more about the culture, as somebody who grew up in Alaska, I feel like Jordana did a lot of research for this. There's actually in the back of the book, these like how to say certain things, you know, what certain things mean. There is a glossary of the gods, both Viking and Inuit, and it was so good. So if you're looking for more like kind of mythology books, but a mythology book that you haven't necessarily ever read before from this kind of perspective, I think it's wonderful. Another thing that I really liked about this book is the characters. There are a lot of different characters that are introduced to this, and they are very believable. They're very realistic. They're very like how people would be in the circumstances they are. She doesn't try to sugarcoat anything. There's a lot of betrayal in this. There's a lot of self-discovery. There's a lot of changes that our main character makes and goes through. I just really loved that. I also 10 out of 10 for the setting, you guys. The setting is so breathtaking. Now, you wouldn't think that it would be because it's really just like on the tundra in the winter. Like pretty much they live on ice. They do build igloos and it's just crazy. But to see the different cultures represented in this as well, like through the setting, like through the story, it's done so well. Like you truly feel like you're there. Like when I was reading this, was sitting in my big chair, which you guys saw in my vlog I just recently got, and I was all bundled up with blankets, like just reading this, and it was so fucking cozy. And I truly loved this book. And the ending of this book is really good. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what the ending was, but if you have heard me speak about this, because I've been raving about it on like Instagram and Twitter for like weeks now, you need to read it. If any of that sounds like something that you're going to like, I think you'll really enjoy this. Now, the beginning of the book, it starts off seemingly different. Like the very beginning of the book, the first like 3 or 4 chapters are very different to what happens in this book. But I feel like the pacing in this is done really well. I feel like the story does continue and does move in a really like linear fashion, and it doesn't get like confusing. It doesn't get bogged down. Not once did I feel like this was a slow read. It's just really, really good. I don't know how many times I can say that this book was just amazing, like truly, truly amazing. I will link my review for it down below if you guys are wanting a little bit more information, but I would recommend anybody read this, truly. I think it's just such a good book. This is an adult novel. This is not a YA novel as well, and it is fiction, but also kind of fantasy in a way, depending on what you truly believe. And I just think you guys need to read it. But that's going to be my review for The Wolf and the Whale. This is definitely a book that I just needed to sit down and tell you guys about, because when I was reading it in my vlog, I wanted to do a separate reading vlog for it, but then I ended up literally just reading it all over a 2-day period, most of which I did at work, so I couldn't really update you guys and do like a specific vlog for it. So that's why I wanted to sit down and do a review. But I hope you guys will read this. If you do end up picking this up, please let me know. If you do end up pre-ordering it or whatever, please let me know, because I truly want to know what people think of it, because I was just so in love with it. But thank you guys so much for watching me ramble for 10 minutes about a book that I just truly loved. I hope you guys will pick it up and let me know if you do. But I hope you guys are having a good day, and I will see you in my next video.